It's definitely cricket.
Not too bad. It's not too bad.
It's fine.
I'm always like, where's the part in my hair wanting to go today?
I can't even see the screen.
I don't even know.
Is it too bright? I'm like, I can't look directly at the
I
camera.
don't. It is I'm now looking at it.
It's like,
a
also
little.
it's like shaking.
Oh, last night I was looking at the camera for the coffee shop kitchen, and there was this one giant orb that looked like it was probably this big, and it would go around the refrigerators and dive back down and go across the floor and come back up and go around and go back across the floor. And I was like, that can't be dust, is it?
No, it's too intentional.
Yeah. I was like,
I never know what to think about orbs. Because I think sometimes orbs are just like dust or trigger the light. But when you have one that you can like watch.
And it kept doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also last night, before that had happened, they had opened up a wall where that had been blocked off years and years and years ago and found a part like underneath the old stairs. So I'm like, did they wake something up?
Probably. Yeah. As old as this building or that building is.
Yeah. My gosh, guys.
Hey, Kara.
Yeah, Megan.
I'm really proud of us for joining the gym.
We're really good at this gym thing.
We did join.
We did.
Gym.
Yeah.
Guys, what, a week ago? Over a week ago.
Over a week and a half ago, maybe 2.
We haven't gone yet.
Well, you've gone more than I have.
Listen, to say that I have gone.
You did go.
I got to the parking lot.
And sat there for a second.
I think I sat there for like 10, 15 minutes.
That's good. That's progress. That's building your
I don't know what happened.
Strength.
Like
strength and stamina.
Yeah. It was a workout. It was a mental workout.
A mental workout. See, that's all you need.
I know that I have like social anxiety.
Yeah.
And then
I wasn't there.
Everybody has gym anxiety.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're superhuman, which
how does one
congratulations.
use one of those machines? I don't know.
I literally, Kara, I was in the parking lot Googling what does it look like inside Planet Fitness? Because I thought maybe
if you were prepared,
if I could,
you'd walk in there and you'd know.
Yeah.
And it would be like you've been there before.
And I watched a few videos.
Right.
Didn't help. Couldn't make myself go in.
Right.
And then Lauren called and needed me to come bring her something to school. And I was
you
like,
had to go. You had to go.
Yeah. Oops. I was just about to go in.
Oh, I was so prepared to go to the gym today.
Hey, guys. This is the Witches, Magic, Murder, and Mystery Podcast.
I'm Kara.
And I'm Megan.
Oh, man.
And I sometimes still surprise myself by how weird I can be.
It's like something is turning the light up and down.
Yeah, there's some lighting problems happening.
But I don't even know that it's us now. It's like it'll get turned down and then it'll turn back up. And I'm just like, see? It's getting, and then it gets brighter. I don't.
Orb.
It might be.
I have a story for you today.
I can't wait.
Okay, first off, let me give a trigger warning for
talk
of suicide.
Oh, man.
And possible domestic violence.
Are there peens running down the street?
No, none of that.
No peens.
None
Okay.
of that. No. I've had so many people like newly introduced to the podcast. And there's a few things I have to tell them, like the Church of Euthanasia episode.
Yeah,
like, just be ready for that.
Or the baloney.
The baloney. Gosh, you guys, if you're new to the podcast and you haven't heard that, I don't know what number it is, but it's called Death of a Whistleblower.
Yeah.
It is still one of the funniest episodes to me.
Yeah.
That and, of course, the rabbit one.
Oh.
Mary Toth.
Oh, gosh.
There's just something about
Her
Mary.
womb.
I think that's what it's called.
Her womb. I just think we're really funny in general.
I mean,
I'm a little biased, but I just love us a lot.
This would be a good time to say, you guys, if you like the podcast, if you love the podcast, it would be wonderful of you to go leave a review. I think we haven't said that in like months and months.
Right.
And months.
And go follow us on social media too.
Yeah, it does help us to help get the podcast out there a lot more.
And you know everybody needs to hear from us.
Right. Okay, before we get into this, I need to remind both of us that we have to be very careful what we say here. And I would like to remind everyone that all Witches, Magic, Murder, and Mystery episodes are a mix of mine and Kara's personal thoughts and opinions.
And the information that we find online that is readily available to everyone.
At the time of recording.
Right.
And any opinions that we might say in this episode are just that.
They're just opinions.
Our opinions. You can find
Don't come at us.
my source list in the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Well, I have heard that some people in this story are a little like,
oh,
litigation happy.
Oh, that's fine.
But I'm not going to say anything that's going to get us litigated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's how you use that word.
If it isn't, it is now.
Okay. Ellen Greenberg had one of the best smiles that I have ever seen.
Oh.
When I was researching this case, literally every picture of her, you just can't help but be like, what an amazing smile. Like, it's just incredible. Her mom called her fun, loving, and bubbly. And you can just tell you can't have a smile like that and not be a warm, bubbly person, you know?
Yeah.
So one of the articles, wow. Truck.
Oh, she's beautiful. Yeah. My gosh.
I know.
Yeah.
So one of the articles I read said that Ellen had a way of bringing people together. Like, you know how as you grow up, you have these separate groups of friends from different times of your life?
Yeah.
Like I have my hometown high school friends and my college friends and
long distance friends. And
the friends I made when I've worked at different places. Like, these are my Shriners Hospital friends.
Exactly.
These are my teacher friends. You know? So in Ellen's
you're
case,
my soulmate friend.
And then there's me and Kara, a whole different category. In Ellen's case, she had all these separate friend groups.
Okay.
Her camp friends, her high school friends, her college friends.
Yeah.
And she put them all together.
Oh.
And they became friends, like,
so she's just got this
independently
giant
of her.
friend. Yeah.
Yeah. And she had this talent for making people get along.
Oh, wow.
And she was a leader in that
That's such a hard thing to do, too,
Oh,
with
yeah.
that giant, like, even, especially in female friend groups.
Oh, my God, I know. Because there's always, like, the ones who are sort of the queens.
Rogue. Feral.
Okay, so Ellen went to Penn State and got her degree in communications
Okay.
with plans of being a speech pathologist.
Oh.
But then she changed her mind and started taking night classes at Temple University to get her teaching degree.
Oh, okay.
And she got a job in the Philadelphia school system, and she loved it.
Okay.
Teaching was a super fulfilling career for her. Her dad said
That,
she
with
felt
that
really
sweet
good
little
about what she was
personality. I bet she was so good at that.
Yeah. So we're going to 2010, 2011.
Okay.
Ellen is 27 years old.
Still a baby.
She's in her third year of teaching. She's teaching first grade.
Oh.
And she lives with her fiance, Sam.
Okay.
Sam Goldberg. It's Ellen Greenberg, Sam Goldberg.
Okay.
And this messed me up the whole time I was writing. He's a 28-year-old TV producer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they're planning their wedding.
Oh, okay.
She reaches out to her parents, and she's like, I want to move home.
Oh.
Which was really confusing to her parents because
they're like, you're teaching.
Look at how well everything is going for her. Yeah.
What's happened? Yeah.
But we know this. If you're struggling with your mental health, it doesn't matter how great things look from the outside.
No, it's not.
And to be fair, she had a lot on her plate with work and planning the wedding and everything. And from what I read, it seems like a lot of her anxiety had to do with her job.
Okay.
And her dad was like, how about we start with talking to a therapist? Before you make this big decision to move home, maybe you just need to talk
Sweet
to someone.
dad recommended mental health help.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I love that too.
Yeah.
So she did that. She started seeing a psychiatrist. They put her on anxiety meds and things were getting better.
Oh, okay.
She had a friend of hers from college, this girl named Erica, who had gone to Penn State with her. And she reached out to Erica because she knew that Erica had also struggled with anxiety. And so Ellen was like, I can talk to her. She'll understand. So she talked to Erica about this a lot. And it's the normal conversations you have when you're struggling. Like, you can go to your friend and be like, here's
like, this is what's going
with.
on with my life and stuff.
But something did seem a little weird to Erica. She said there was a point where Ellen got really worried about her therapist breaking confidentiality.
Oh.
And Ellen was like, no. Erica was like, no, you can tell your therapist anything.
Yeah.
And the only time your therapist would have to break confidentiality is if they thought that you were going to hurt yourself or someone else.
Right.
So she just point blank asked her, are you so stressed that you're having those kind of thoughts?
Yeah.
And Ellen laughed and she's like, no, absolutely not. I'm just anxious.
Okay.
You know? Which brings us to January 26, 2011.
That's a strange thing to bring up. like to be worried about.
Ellen was teaching that day, but a snowstorm struck in Philadelphia, so she ended up coming home early. She got gas on her way home around 1:30 p.m. I was about to say 1:30 in the morning.
Oh, that's real early teaching.
Right.
Those kids got up so early.
She got gas on her way home around 1:30 in the afternoon. And remember, she lived with her fiancé, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
He left her to go to the gym, which was located in their apartment building, around 4:45 that afternoon. And then when he came home 30 minutes later, their apartment door was locked, latched from the inside. So he couldn't get in, and he started texting Ellen. He sent 9 text messages over the course of about 20 minutes, getting more and more annoyed.
Okay.
I'm going to read through the texts, okay?
Okay.
Hello. Open the door. What are you doing? I'm getting pissed. Hello. You better have an excuse.
Oh.
Right.
Not is everything okay?
You better have an excuse. It's such a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
And then, what the F?
Oh.
My mom recently got upset with me for saying, oh my God, too much. So I definitely can't say the F word on the podcast now, guys. Third, or the 8th one was just like A-H-H-H.
Like, ah.
And lastly, you have no idea.
Huh?
You better
like
have an excuse.
You have no idea like how mad I am, maybe?
I guess. Also, that could be read like, oh, you have no idea I'm out here.
Oh,
just stream of consciousness, like, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Well. But you better have an excuse.
Hmm.
I keep thinking, like, I just can't imagine if it were me locked out, I would assume the person, it was an accident.
Yeah.
And maybe now they're in the shower.
Did you
or
fall
they're
asleep?
Taking a nap,
yeah.
Or something's happened. I wouldn't automatically just be like, you better have an excuse.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I was pooping. Like, what?
I got the ibs.
Yeah.
Still no answer from Ellen. So their apartment is on the 6th floor, and Sam goes down.
So he can't go look in a window or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
He goes down to building security and is like, I'm locked out. I need you to help me break the lock. But the security guy was like, sorry, that's against our policy.
Okay.
Which I do think, of course, you shouldn't break the lock, but don't they have a key? Like, he lives there.
Yeah, but I guess if the latch is
from the inside. Oh, that's a good point.
You can't get in.
It wouldn't matter if you had the key, because Sam has a key. Thank you. I didn't catch that the whole time that I was working on this. So Sam goes back upstairs, and he decides he's just going to bust through the door.
Oh.
And he does. And that's when he finds Ellen in the kitchen. Her body is slumped against the cabinets, and there's blood everywhere.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
Sam called 911. And initially, he couldn't even tell the operator exactly where Ellen was bleeding from.
Mm-hmm.
There's just blood all over.
Yeah.
So the operator is like, I'm going to walk you through doing CPR if you're willing to do that.
Okay.
And Sam says, I have to, right? Which, again, is one of those things that could be read
right
in a bad way, and also could just be read in like, I mean, I have to, right? You know?
Yeah, like, I'm going,
right.
like,
even
right?
if I don't
like,
know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So the operator has him lay Ellen on her back and take off her shirt. And Sam's like, she's already on her back. And then he has trouble taking her shirt off because he says there's a zipper. And then he says, oh my God, she stabbed herself. She fell on a knife. I don't know. The knife is sticking out. There's a knife sticking out of her heart.
Oh.
I think saying the first thing being she stabbed herself is very strange to me.
Yeah.
Because someone stabbing themselves seems like such a not likely thing to happen. Anyway,
I'm just curious now, like, how many like attempts, like, you know, just like nervous, like anxious. Oh God, that kind of hurts. I don't want to do this. Like, were there any of those wounds? Okay, sorry. I just am thinking, like,
can you shut up?
Some law enforcement stories that I've heard in the past, like people trying to die like the samurai way or whatever, by sword and stuff. I just remember those and like hearing that there were so many like attempt wounds. Okay, sorry. Sorry guys, don't listen to any of that.
There was a 10-inch serrated kitchen knife lodged 4 inches into Ellen's chest.
God.
At that point, the operator's like, stop. Don't do CPR.
Yeah, you're going to push all the blood. Yeah.
Right. Wait for the police.
Oh, my gosh.
Investigators arrive.
Don't take it out.
Right. No. Investigators arrive on the scene. Sam is super cooperative. and he stays on the scene the whole time.
Okay.
And the other thing is, the police are only there for about an hour.
Okay.
Here's what the police see. The apartment was locked from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing was missing from the apartment. Security footage didn't show anything suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the apartment's on the 6th floor, and there was a snowstorm.
Yeah.
There was a balcony, so it's like if the door was locked from the inside, maybe someone could have come in and then escaped through the balcony.
But there's no footprints.
There are no footprints.
Okay.
There's no sign of anything in the fresh snow out there.
Okay.
On top of that, police knew that she had just started seeing a psychiatrist for anxiety and had been put on medicine.
Who told him that?
Sam.
Okay.
All signs pointed to Ellen being alone when she died.
Okay.
She had no defensive wounds to show that she'd fought off any sort of attack.
Right. Okay.
So this was ruled a suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the police were only there for about an hour.
Yeah.
Because they didn't need, it's not a crime scene.
Right. And they're like,
They
this
didn't
is really
secure
unfortunate.
anything.
But yeah, this is what happened. Okay.
So they were there for about an hour and then they leave. They didn't secure anything. They didn't.
Right. Yeah.
Anybody could have come in and out.
Yeah.
The next morning, there's an autopsy. And that's when they learned that Ellen had been stabbed 20 times. 10 of which were to the back of her neck.
Oh.
8 to her chest, 1 to her stomach, and 1 across her scalp.
Oh my God.
She also had 11 bruises in various stages of healing. So these weren't from the night before. They had happened at different times, sometimes before this.
Oh my gosh.
The bruises were on her arm, abdomen, and leg.
Oh.
The Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office ruled the case as a homicide.
Okay.
The next day, or sometime in the next couple of days, because I saw a few different dates,
Right.
Philadelphia police released a statement saying, Ellen Greenberg's death has not been ruled a homicide. Investigators are considering the manner of death as suspicious at this time.
Hmm.
And that seems normal
Yeah.
to me. If you've got police saying one thing and the medical examiner another,
Let's just
well,
meet
then
in the
now
middle.
it's just suspicious, and
Yeah.
we need to keep investigating.
Mm-hmm.
Weeks later, after meeting with investigators, the medical examiner's office reversed their previous decision, and Ellen's death was officially ruled a suicide again. This is my new obsession. People who disappear is one, and the other are people whose death are ruled suicide when it seems
So suspicious.
right. Just like Jonathan
I
Luna.
just am like trying to think of like how you.
They're saying she stabbed herself 20 times. And in my opinion, that is nuts.
Right. That's really painful.
So, of course, Ellen's family was like, absolutely not. Let me say that again, because I had a weird noise in my throat.
Your esophagus is talking.
Of course, Ellen's family was like, absolutely not.
Well, yeah.
She hadn't been acting sad or depressed, which we know that doesn't always mean
Right. It doesn't
anything
show. Yeah. Yeah.
when it comes to death by
Right.
suicide. But another thing they pointed out was that they don't think that she spent her last hours acting like someone who was planning to die.
Yeah.
She'd had a normal phone conversation with her mom earlier that very day. She'd texted with friends. She'd filled up her gas tank, remember, on the way home?
Yeah.
Her laptop was open to a bunch of wedding planning sites.
Mhm.
And this is the weirdest thing to me.
Okay.
There was a half-made fruit salad in a bowl on the counter.
Mm-hmm.
She'd been in the middle
Of eating.
of cutting up fruit for this fruit salad.
Oh.
And then just suddenly was like,
Use
well,
that
now's the
knife
time.
for it?
Like, yeah. Like, what? You know? I've decided mid cutting up this
These
apple.
intrusive thoughts took over.
It's just,
Oh.
there was no suicide note.
Right.
In the days leading up to this, she had sent out save the dates for her wedding.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And even if you want to be like, you can't judge this sort of thing based on a person's behavior,
Mhm.
that's fair.
Right.
So here's some science.
Okay.
One of her neck wounds didn't have any blood in it,
Oh.
which means it must have been inflicted after her pulse stopped.
Right.
And we know that it can't be that that was the last one, like it's the last stab wound as she died. Stab wound. Womb is what I said. Or stab wound. It's not like the last stab wound as she died
Right.
or whatever, because the knife was in her chest.
Uh-huh.
So this is a different one.
And it was all the same size knife wound.
It was the only one knife was from what I saw.
Okay.
And then there are
Huh.
the bruises. So those bruises could mean that she'd been physically abused in the days leading up to her death.
Right.
And that, in her dad's opinion, is the motive for murder here. He said somebody didn't want Ellen's abuse to get out there, and that's why she's dead.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, Ellen denied that any abuse took place to her psychiatrist. She also didn't report any thoughts of suicide to her psychiatrist.
So what did she think was going to get out?
I don't know.
Huh.
Right away, her parents get to work fighting for answers.
Good for them.
They think that the police cleaned up the crime scene too quickly because they thought it was a suicide.
Right.
And they ignored clues like the lack of blood in one of the stab wounds. They've gone to court several times, even as recently as last year, 2023.
Oh, wow.
Trying to get the manner of Ellen's death changed from suicide to either homicide or undetermined.
Right.
Like, they're fine with just saying undetermined.
Yeah.
Because then an investigation could continue, right? In September of 2023, a Pennsylvania court ruled that the family cannot sue the city of Philadelphia over the investigation into Ellen's death, even though the court agreed that the investigation was seriously flawed.
Oh.
But we'll back up a little bit to just after her death.
Yeah.
The Greenbergs, because they couldn't get any answers from the city, they purchased Ellen's autopsy report and photos from the scene. And they've got several experts, from forensic pathologists to a blood spatter. From forensic pathologist to a blood splatter specialist.
That's a lot to say.
It's too many.
Yeah.
And they questioned the suicide ruling. So
Okay.
here's just some of the things that the experts have said.
Yeah, because you said it was everywhere.
The stab wounds to Ellen's brain and spinal cord would have caused severe pain, cranial nerve dysfunction,
Right, that's what I
and
was
traumatic
thinking.
brain injuries.
Yeah.
There was this thing, oh my gosh, this word, photogrammetry. I don't know which syllable
Yeah.
to emphasize.
Photogrammetry.
This was unavailable at the time of Ellen's death, but it was performed in 2019, and they created like a 3D anatomical recreation of her wounds.
Okay.
And it showed that not all of her stab wounds could have been self-inflicted. Like, it would have been
Well, that's what
possible.
I was like, how?
The Greenbergs have had 2 neuropathologists review Ellen's autopsy report and examine the brain tissue samples from the medical examiner's office, and both doctors say that the evidence shows suicide is not even a possibility. In 2018, the Attorney General's office talked about new computer evidence that hadn't been in the medical examiner's... What is it? Examiners. In 2018, the Attorney General's office talked about new computer evidence that hadn't been in the medical examiner's 2011 findings.
Okay.
They provided the search history from Ellen's computer, which showed terms like suicide methods, quick suicide, and painless suicide. It's just a little weird because the 2011 report specifically said there wasn't anything indicative of suicide on the computers or in the rest of the apartment.
Right.
So why is this just now coming up? In my opinion, that's weird.
Yeah. I don't understand that.
I would also question how, if those search terms were on her computer, how could they be sure that it was Ellen who had searched them?
Yeah. At what time were they searched?
That's the other thing. Remember how they left after an hour and nothing was secured? Anything could have been done after that. Allegedly.
Yeah. Who knows?
Let's
it
talk
could
about
happen anywhere and anything.
by anyone.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the medical examiner's office and how they initially said homicide and then switched to suicide. I almost left all of this out because I feel like it gets too convoluted, but at the same time, I'm like,
but those are, I have those
all
questions. Yeah.
So I'm gonna
deep dive here.
Let's get into the details.
Yeah.
The guy who made that decision at the medical examiner's office, he was like the assistant medical examiner. His last name is Osborne.
Okay.
And in a deposition, he said that at the time of autopsy, he believed he had enough information to rule Ellen's death a homicide. When he told police this, they said, list the case as pending while we continue to investigate.
Okay.
And then it was really weird when they've told him that, and they come out a couple days later and publicly dispute his findings. And they talk about Ellen's mental issues.
Right.
So then Osborne said he thought it was so strange that the police were leaning towards suicide so hard.
Yeah.
So he decided to get a neuropathologist to examine Ellen's spinal cord to see if it had been damaged to the point that she would have been unable to continue stabbing herself, right? Because that's one of the family's arguments. So he said the neuropathologist that looked at it said that spinal cord itself had not been cut, only like the sheath around it.
Oh my God.
so that Ellen would not have lost motor function. So it is possible,
Yeah.
according to this neuropathologist's opinion, that she could have created that wound and then continued stabbing herself.
Right.
This goes against what an expert on the Greenberg side says, by the way. He said you could plainly see the nerves were severed. She would have lost her motor skills and been in excruciating pain as soon as that wound happened.
Well, even if the nerves weren't severed, that pain would have been,
you would think,
insane.
So she would not have been able to go on and stab herself again. But back to the neuropathologist that worked with the medical examiner's office. Here's the thing. That neuropathologist did not file a report or bill the office for her work. So when she was asked about this whole thing, she doesn't have any memory of it.
And she has nothing to look back on.
If I didn't do a report or send a bill, I would conclude that I never saw the spinal cord. So we can't even be sure that this happened at all.
Right.
She did say there's a remote possibility. I looked at it.
Yeah, but I didn't thoroughly because I didn't bill for that time.
To not bill for it seems strange. So it could be.
Potentially.
This is just something that I came up with in my brain by myself with my opinions.
Just your own thoughts.
That if the medical examiner's office felt pressured from the police to change it, then Osborne may have felt pressured to come up with a reason why he changed it. And that reason might have been this phony neuropathologist story. That's purely speculation on my part. We're just gathering that from the information that was provided to us. With my thoughts. On top of that, Osborne and his boss, the chief medical examiner, said that they were asked to attend a meeting with the DA's office and the Philadelphia Police Department. And the chief medical examiner was like, this was weird. It was unusual. Neither he or Osborne could recall another meeting like it during their time in Philadelphia. So it wasn't a normal thing.
To get called into the...
And during this meeting, they're going over all the facts of the case, and Osborne confirmed that a doorman was with Sam Goldberg when the door was broken down. Osborne was like, this was important to me in deciding to rule this as a suicide because it was important to find out if the door was broken, if anyone was there to see it be broken, or if this was just a story that Sam made up.
Right.
Because if the door actually had to be broken, and we know that's true because there was a doorman there to witness it, then to Osborne, it doesn't seem like anyone else could have been in the room to attack Ellen. But if you remember, I told you. The doorman didn't come to the door with Sam.
No, he said, that's not okay. I'm not doing that for you.
Right. He said it was against policy. So nobody was there to witness Sam breaking the door.
Right.
And that doorman has signed a statement saying he didn't come. And video surveillance showed that the doorman didn't accompany Sam back upstairs. So if one of the main reasons that Osborne decided this was suicide was because police said the doorman had been there with Sam, well, that was a lie. So that means his ruling is partly based on a lie. Which seems like a problem.
Right,
in my opinion.
It's questionable.
Still, Osborne testified in court that that's not the only thing that factored into his decision. He had also changed the manner of death to suicide because of the spinal cord exam, the lack of defensive wounds, the lack of incapacitating drugs in Ellen's system.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Like, either way, if she was drugged or drugged herself to where she didn't feel the amount of pain she was going through, like, you would see that in that report.
There were no signs of an intruder, the broken door, Sam Goldberg's statement.
So we know the door for sure was broken. Like, there were shattered pieces of wood.
I don't know about that. There's actually conflicting.
Okay.
There's somebody in one of the articles I read who's like, if you look at pictures, the door doesn't look broken at all.
Okay.
And the police findings from the scene. All of those things factored into Osborne's decision. That whole thing about the lack of defensive wounds does seem wild to me. But Ellen's parents have an expert for that too. Tom Brennan, a retired state trooper and former detective, said that Ellen could have been taken by surprise when she was stabbed. He called it a blitz attack, which would have left her completely defenseless and would explain why she didn't struggle. She never had the chance to fight back.
Right.
I never saw anything that told us, like, or if they even know, like, which wounds came first.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
She got one of those. But let's say she got one of those spinal cord ones first, and it did render her like she lost her motor function. She couldn't have fought back. Or if she lost consciousness right away.
Was the one in her chest bleeding? Because if the back one wasn't bleeding, as if her pulse had stopped at that point, was the
10 in her back of her neck.
Yeah, like if one of those wasn't bleeding, then was this one bleeding? Like, how did he have another knife?
I think that's the only one.
Did somebody have another knife?
Someone
have another knife?
I don't know.
Is there a lawnmower driving down the street?
All I saw was talk of one knife. I don't think that they have. I think the one serrated knife that was in her heart
is the same
only
cuts.
Huh. Because if there had been a missing murder weapon, then there would be no talk of suicide here.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So we've got two sides here, and each of them have their own experts to back up their arguments.
Right.
The Inquirer, a newspaper in the area, hired their own independent medical experts to assess the evidence.
Oh.
Gregory McDonald, a coroner and the dean of the School of Health Science at the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine.
Oh, my goodness.
Was one of those experts. And here's what he had to say. Okay, so here's what we get into what you were just saying a few minutes ago about stab wounds. So some of Ellen's stab wounds were very shallow.
Okay.
Which would be consistent with hesitation marks.
Right, yeah.
As he explained to Oxygen.com, when someone is self-inflicting these wounds, oftentimes they'll stab themselves superficially first to kind of see what it feels to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll go deeper and deeper as they progress with the self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah.
This doesn't really happen in homicides because if a person is stabbing you, usually they don't stab you a bunch of times superficially and then start to go deeper.
Right, yeah.
So McDonald thought the stab wounds were consistent with suicide.
Mm-hmm.
But he said the deeper stab wounds, the number of punctures, and the gash on Ellen's forehead were more representative of a knife attack. You can stab yourself fairly deeply in a lot of different areas of your body, he said. She could have done it physically, of course, meaning she's capable of it, but it's unusual to stab yourself that many times, that deeply in those areas. Another thing he thought was weird, and I had not even considered this till he brought it up, Ellen had been stabbed through her clothing. Most people who commit suicide don't stab themselves through the clothes. They usually pull the clothes up and expose whatever area they want to target. So that's a little unusual for suicide. So this independent, objective investigator sees evidence for both suicide and homicide.
Okay, but what if it
gets us nowhere?
What if it was both? What if she was considering suicide and had attempted, and then someone found her and was like, I can't believe you did this. I'm going to kill you.
I don't know.
Someone.
That seems crazy. I don't know. First off, is stabbing yourself 20 times a typical method of suicide?
Oh my God.
Courtney Conley, a licensed clinical professional counselor who works with young adults contemplating suicide, says it's not impossible, but it's extremely rare.
Right.
And it's extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Usually people who die by suicide look for something quick. Statistically, this is most often a firearm, poisoning, or suffocation.
Yeah.
Investigators also kept bringing up how Ellen was on anti-anxiety meds, acting like that could have played a part, like the medicine could have made her have suicidal ideations.
But she had been seeing the therapist on the regular.
And Conley, when they were like, could these medications have played any part in her death? Conley says no. She said that the only thing that she would even consider that would make someone do something like this would be a drug that makes you have like superhuman strength. And increases your pain tolerance.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Like,
how did you withstand all that?
After the first deep stab wound,
you
would do it again?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to read this next part. I feel like it would be irresponsible for me to leave this out. I don't want it to seem like I'm, not telling the full story. So this is about the medication. It's from the toxicology report. Again, this is one of these like super long explanations.
Yeah.
So just stay with me. According to a toxicology report, there were traces of, zolpidem, a sedative and a sleep aid, and clonazepam, an anti-anxiety medication, in Ellen's system when she died. If I mispronounce those, you all have my permission to make fun of me.
Yeah.
Ellen's psychiatrist prescribed them in the weeks leading up to her death. Both drugs, particularly clonazepam, which is a benzodiazepine, are known to induce suicidal ideation in some patients.
Okay.
A study by the National Center for Biotechnology Information, which investigated the association between self-harm and benzodiazepines, examined a case of a, quote, previously stable 62-year-old man who, quote, inflicted serious stab wounds to himself twice within a month while taking the psychoactive medication. I don't know that they're referring to when taking the same exact medication that she was taking or just taking any
something like yeah.
The study notes such incidents are rare and largely associated with withdrawal, which we know she wasn't in.
Yeah.
But similar studies in Canada and Sweden have also been published linking self-harm with benzodiazepines. Ellen's psychiatrist told police that she had expressed uneasiness in taking the medication, but there were never any indications of abusive behavior.
Okay.
And she wasn't taking any more of the medicine than she was supposed to. We know from the toxicology report that she had the right appropriate amount in her system at the time.
Yeah.
So it's not like she was abusing them. She wasn't doing
She didn't try to overdose on it.
Right.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, Ellen's parents and her friend Erica, the one that she would talk to about her anxiety, both mentioned they were like, let's say that she had been suicidal, which none of them believed that she was. But like, let's say she had. This particular method also doesn't make sense for Ellen. The Greenbergs said their daughter was too squeamish to even get her ears pierced for a second time.
Oh.
Let alone stick a knife in her own back 10 times. If you can even do that.
I know, that's what I keep trying to
do that. Her dad said she chickened out of getting her ears pierced. She didn't like pain. And Erica said something similar. She was like, if you knew Ellen, she was your typical girly girl. She didn't like getting dirty. She didn't like the sight of blood. Had Ellen ever committed suicide, her using a knife would be the absolute last way that I would ever even consider her to do it. If she wanted to kill herself, she had a whole bottle of pills she could have taken.
Right, that's what I was...
Exactly. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
Well, she had
other methods.
She had sleep aids and everything.
Yeah.
There's other ways that she could have done it.
Yeah. Huh.
So the last thing I'm going to read is this quote from the Greenberg's attorney who spoke to A&E True Crime about that stab wound on the back of Ellen's head.
I keep going back to that. Yeah.
This is the one that I'm just going to read this direct quote from one of the articles.
It's from an article that she found online that you all can see as well.
But this thing I kept going back to and being like, yeah, this is it for me. Okay. Our neuropathologist and the city's paid neuropathologist both agree that the limited sample of brain tissue that still remains plainly shows there is a stab wound that shows there's no bleed. That means there was no pulse when that stab wound happened. That means Ellen was not alive when it happened. According to the Greenberg's attorney, accepting the finding of suicide as a cause of death would then mean, quote, accepting that someone would be able to stab themselves 2 times after they died. That's it.
And so, because when somebody's high on all sorts of things, their body will still continue a certain motor function after they're dead because of whatever. But she had nothing in her system except for the normal dosage of her anxiety meds. So that wouldn't make sense. I don't understand why, if it was that would be the motor function but then the knife would have to come back out and she'd have to come around and put it in her heart. And that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because if it was just following through with the same motor function, she would just be stabbing herself in the neck. Unless she somehow brought her hand back around as she was dead and fell on it. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever, though.
And it sounds like, he said she was already on her back.
Yeah.
To the 911 operator.
Yeah, so she would have.
She wasn't laying on her chest with the.
Right?
I'm
so confused.
And he was only gone to the gym, if what I read in the article was correct, for 30 minutes.
It's 15 more minutes than you.
Thank you.
But also, knowing someone, I had dated someone for quite a bit who, was a personal trainer, and we would go to the gym together. You don't go to the gym for 30 minutes. You take 5 of those minutes to even walk in and set your stuff down and get prepped. And then you sometimes wait on a machine, or you wait on weights, or you do whatever.
Yeah. That part I'm like, who knows? Maybe he had to come back for something
Yeah.
Or maybe he just really had a quick thing. Maybe
he just went and ran on the treadmill and came back. I don't know.
But
I don't know.
It's awful. It's horrible. It's horrible no matter what happened here. If it was suicide, it's horrible that she reached that point.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't suicide, it's horrible that no one is going to be held accountable.
Yeah.
And
it's horrible for her family and friends who don't have answers.
There's so many questions here.
Yeah.
That I just can't believe
that there's an end to it.
Reopen. Like I can't. Yeah. I mean, how can anybody look at this and be like, we should dig some more here?
Yeah.
And one of the things that like the city of Philadelphia is arguing is like, we can't make the chief medical examiner change their decision. If we open that door here, then what's going to stop any unhappy family who doesn't like it from making them change their decision?
But there's so much medical proof.
Such an annoying rule. Yeah. That's like saying, well, we messed up this one time, but you can't hold us accountable because what about all these other people who are going to
come? What about Joe Schmo who's going to come at me because his uncle hung himself in a closet or something? If
there's this much evidence that maybe it's not suicide, if another family in the future comes to you with this much evidence, then
open that back up.
Then you should, right? You just want to have this protection of like, you're not allowed to ever say we're wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
they're like, oops, not it.
We're not saying that just anybody in the world can come question you, but they've got, it's not.
But if there's evidence that backs it up and also other medical professionals that back that up as well, then maybe look into it a little more.
A lot of the stories that we've done when there's suicide involved, the family is just like, I can't believe my
family member did this. Yeah.
I understand.
Right. Yeah.
That's not what's happened here.
Yeah.
Like their family is saying that. And they've also plus we have all this evidence to back up what we're saying. This is not just us having a hard time accepting what happened.
I don't know. I have opinions. I have thoughts. I have.
And another thing is like, I know the easy thing to do here is to be like, well, if it wasn't suicide, then what was it? Let's look at Sam. And the thing is, there's no evidence. Like she never talked to anybody saying that she said she was happy in her relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I don't even know that you can just say, well, obviously her fiance killed her, because there's no real evidence of that either. Even if we're saying there's evidence it wasn't a suicide, there's not necessarily evidence that points to another person.
Yep.
Because even the thing with the bruises, we don't really know what those are from.
Yeah.
And she didn't tell her psychiatrist that there was abuse.
How long had she been seeing the psychiatrist before this had happened? Do we know? Because maybe she wasn't at that comfort level yet. Because I know some, people that I've talked to, some mental health professionals I've talked to, I'm just like, you're not ready for this. I'm not comfortable enough with you yet to deep dive into this. Let's just give it a couple.
I know that when she talked about moving home, she specifically said to her parents, but everything's fine with me and Sam and everything's good.
Right.
But like, she didn't really say why she wanted to come home either.
Yeah, she didn't give details. And I'm just like, oh no.
So that's it.
Oh man.
It's a wild one.
Oh man. Are there any like petitions to like open it back up or anything?
I mean, if they can't get the city of Philadelphia to like reopen,
then what's going to happen? What's going to help it?
Done. Yeah.
My gosh.
And they've been fighting this since 2011.
Right. That's what I was going to say. It's been over 10 years. Oof. What an interesting story.
So I would love to hear what you all think.
Yeah, we would love to hear your thoughts and opinions compared to our thoughts and opinions.
Because it's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the Facebook group, let us know what you think.
Hop on there and let us know. Yeah.
By the way, if you are looking for our Facebook group, in case you are new around here, in the show notes of wherever you're listening, you can find a link to the Facebook group. You can also find a link to a podcast store and to the Patreon.
Yep. And on our Instagram page, we have some fun little reels and stuff you all can go watch.
Yep.
Get us some views.
Okay. Thank you all so much for listening. And we love you
so much.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.